and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today I am going to take you through McCormick's Estimating and Digital Takeoff program. First, let me just say we are very excited to be a part of the Foundation family. My name is J.R. McGraw. I'm one of the regional sales managers over here. Today we're going to show you version 15.0, and we are thrilled that we now have direct integration with Foundation Accounting. So I'm going to show you the flow of the program today. Of course, I won't be able to show you everything in the time that we have. I'm going to show you most of the highlights, but if you would like to learn more and perhaps schedule a more comprehensive one-on-one demonstration with your company, please give the office over here a call. Or if you'd like more information on purchasing and getting started with McCormick, give our office a call. I am going to open it up at the end if there's any questions. We'll do some questions and answering in the chat portion. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with this. Right now, you are looking at your job screen. So this dashboard right here is giving you a view of all of the jobs that you've been bidding on over time. And this dashboard is customizable. You can actually create folders to track your jobs. I've created some folders up at the top here to show you. Right now I'm in my commercial jobs, but these are folders that you'll be able to create depending on the projects that you are bidding on. It's kind of like a digital filing cabinet. You've got your main dashboard, and then you can select a job and you have the ability to move it to one of those customized folders to keep you organized. So when you first log into the program, you're either going to open up a job here that you've already started working on, or perhaps you're going to start a new project. I'm going to walk you through what that whole flow looks like today. Again, it's an easy 5-step process to get started. I've got to start on this job here just to show you. I've got some of the job details already punched in here for us. And this really is step one. We call this first step jobs. This is where you're putting in all of the job details. A lot of this information can be pre-loaded in here, especially your information can be auto-saved in here every time you start a project. But you're going to want to put in some basic information like the job name, any customer details that you want to provide. This is one of the things you do to get started. But the big thing you do here in this first step is bring in any digital files that you have to bid your job with. So what you're going to do is click this DEP Drawings tab down here at the bottom of the window, and then you're going to click on the Add Drawing button, and then that brings up the file storage on your computer. So wherever you have those blueprints, those digital plans, you can come in here and grab a whole bunch at one time like this. And then it's going to put them into a preview window here for us. If it's a large file, it will separate all of the sheets out individually into this preview screen. And the nice thing about that is it will give you the ability to take a look at the plans first before you decide which ones you're going to save into the job. So if you don't need all of them, you can simply go through here and check them out first, and then I could just go through and cherry pick out the ones that I want to bring in. I want to bring them all in, so I'm going to hit Import All, and now we've got those plans saved in there. So that's really the big thing that happens in step number one, and it's a 5-step process every time you're putting one of these bids together. So up here in the top ribbon, we've got the 5 job steps listed. That was step number one. Moving on to step number 2, labels. Labels is an organizational step for your bid. So depending on the information that you want to be able to look at, labels gives you the power to break down this job, and it gives you a lot of details later on in terms of reporting. So you can create as many labels as you want. I've got 5 columns here to work with. I'm only using 3 of the 5 columns as an example here, but just to show you how you can utilize these labels, I started this job out with a base bid, and then later on I can come in here and I can add any alternate bid packages that I might need to provide, or change orders once the job is ongoing. That's what column 1 is for your major bid packages. So you always will start with a base bid, and then I've chosen to break this job out into some different areas, and then I've broken those areas out into different systems. Now this is completely up to you. There's no right or wrong way to use these labels, but it's really powerful in terms of what information do you want to be able to isolate? Do you need to present the information to a customer in a certain fashion? Do you simply want the project management that it provides you on the back end? Perhaps later on, this job is ongoing and you want to see how many man hours is the warehouse power. going to take me? Well, I could simply run a report on just that part of the job, and I can see exactly that information. So it keeps all of your material organized and separated out. We can keep everything combined together, but then we can dive in and look deeper at any part of the job we want to focus on. So it really is preparing you for the main step in McCormick, which is step number 3, takeoff. That's where I want to spend most of my time here with you, because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time when you're using the program. So let's move on here to step number 3, takeoff. Now, McCormick starts you out with a robust database. In terms of electrical, we have thousands and thousands of parts in our database loaded up and ready to go here for you to utilize. There's actually 2 databases in McCormick that you'll be using. We break down our database into what we call items and assemblies. Most of your time is going to be in assemblies. That's really what speeds up this process. I'll explain that more, but items are the building blocks in McCormick. Items have information built into them. They have labor units built into them. There's pricing information. So items are very important. So this is your database window, and then you've got your takeoff menu on this side, and this has everything organized into different categories, and this menu is going to drive you to anywhere you want to go in that database. So right now you can see I'm in my items database, and column 1 here has your most general of categories. And just to give you kind of an idea of some of the stuff that we've got in here, it starts you out in your wire. I get into all my different types of conduit. All my different types of devices are here for me to choose from. All of my service equipment is in here for me. Then we start to get into some of the controls that we have. We do have a ton of industrial in here. If you do any industrial work, we've got you covered. We've got high voltage in here. We've got special systems, which is going to cover you on the low voltage side of things: fire alarm, security, access control. We've got all of your structured cabling and fiber, underground systems. So again, column 1 has your most general of categories, and then you would just move left to right in this menu to narrow down what you're looking for. For example, if I wanted some conduit, perhaps I want some PVC, I'm going to select that here in the second column, and then I want to go with some PVC 40. As soon as I make a selection in the last column of the menu, it now jumps me over here to that spot in my database window. So now I just need to choose the assembly that I want, or in this case, an item that I want. And I'm going to show you what these items look like. I've got this review button down here, which I can open up that item, and it will display all of the built-in information for me to reference. With McCormick, all of this information comes loaded in. We have 4 different levels of pricing, and then we have up to 6 different levels of labor units or labor hours for this specific item. You're always going to have a book price, which is a national retail average cost on the part, and then you're also going to have price 1, 2, and 3, which are set as multipliers off of that price. These are discounts that you would be setting up for the discounts that you are getting on the raw cost of the material. Price 1's always McCormick's best price by default, so you always kind of want to spot check that when you're first getting started with the program. You do have the ability to link this up directly with suppliers. We do have pricing services available. We have partners that can link you up with unlimited suppliers, and you can have your McCormick database regularly updated every time you're bidding a job. There's a live update function. But you have 4 levels built in to get you started, and this is just raw cost of material. So we're saying price 1, we got $93 for 100 feet of that PVC is what that pricing looks like. I can come in here and I can change that pricing, and then I can also reference the labor information for that particular item. We've got our time-tested bid labor that we've established on this item. We're saying it's going to take 4 hours of labor time in order to run 100 feet of this PVC. That can be adjusted. Might not always be enough time. It's very competitive, but we do have change order labor if you need to add some more hours to do the work. And then you also have National Electrical Contractor Association labor time. You have their 3 published units as well. That is available here for you to choose from. That's going to definitely give you some more hours to do the work. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. In our items database, we don't actually choose any of that here when we're going to do the takeoff. We're just going to get all of the material that we need, but we will will be able to choose this information when we go to step number 4. We're going to get a complete breakdown of itemized material, and we'll be able to choose any combination of pricing and labor that we want. I'm going to switch it over to the assemblies database now. Assemblies is really what speeds this whole process up for you. When you take off an assembly, you're actually going to take off a group of items all in one shot. So again, you're going to start out in your menu. Perhaps I want to take off some EMT. I'll start under branch. Second column, I'm going to keep it on EMT. Third column is what type of connectors you're going to want, and we do have a glossary for these abbreviations. I'm going to go with a steel set screw connector, and then I'm going to choose my wire size here in the last column. What number wire do I want here? I'm going to go with number 12 wire. And again, as soon as you click on that last menu column, it'll take you to that section of our assembly database, and then you're just going to go ahead and click on the assembly that you want. I want 3 number 12 wire, and as soon as I click on that, it is active and ready for me to go. Now the labels are the big thing here in Takeoff. You just have to switch it over to the labels that you want it on, and again, that's going to ensure that all of the material stays organized. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over to my warehouse lighting label, and I am going to manually enter in 100 feet of this assembly. I'm going to type in 100 on my keyboard, hit the enter key, and that will take it off. We call that manual takeoff. That would be the most basic way that you can put an estimate together, is by manually entering the quantities that you desire. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to hit this byproducts button right here, and that will show us everything that was built into that assembly. So everything that we need for the installation is now being calculated. We've got the conduit, we've got the wire, it's giving us our couplings, connectors, straps, screws, washers, everything we need. We have these already built for you and ready to go. You can customize these assemblies. If you ever want to make a change to one of these assemblies, it is very easy for you to do. We have these 3 buttons down here at the bottom. If you ever want to add more items or delete an item out of there that you don't think you'll need, I can swap out a like part by clicking that go to button. So this is going to be your database, and McCormick is by far the easiest database to customize and truly make this your own database. So just know that you will always have the ability to customize these assemblies, or even build your own assemblies. If you ever want to build one from scratch, you can also do that. The big thing I want to show you next is the built-in digital takeoff. We call it Design Estimating Pro. That's McCormick's name for the on-screen takeoff. And this has really been a huge development in our recent history. It's actually made us the fastest and most powerful estimating and takeoff program out on the market, because it is completely integrated. I'm going to come up here now, and I'm going to click on this big green Pro button, and that is going to launch Design Estimating Pro for us. Design Estimating Pro is its own window. If you do have more than one computer monitor, you can simply slide Design Estimating Pro over to your second screen, and then you'll have some more room to work with. I'm going to keep everything on one screen here for us and show you how to do it. What we're going to do now is select the file or the sheet that we want to start working on. I'm going to grab my sheet list here and go ahead and click on one of those sheets that we've saved into the job. It's going to load it up on screen here for us. The first time you open up a sheet, you're going to want to set your scale. We can choose a scale, or we can set a scale from known points. If it doesn't have a scale, we can measure out a known dimension on the plan and create our own custom scale. I'm just going to go ahead and choose a 1/8 = 1 scale to get started. And now it's all mouse control at this point. So what I'm doing right now is I'm spinning the mouse wheel up and down. I can zoom in and out. I can also press and hold my mouse wheel down. I can drag the plan around anywhere that I want. So everything that you're seeing me do is with mouse control. It is also touchscreen monitor compatible. That would be another method for you here to count and measure on the plan. Now, I was showing you how to find parts in the menu, but you will have the ability to create a favorites list here in Design Estimating Pro, which would be a list of the assemblies or items that you use commonly job to job. So what it is it is a built-in speed feature for you, so you don't have to go back into the menu and search for parts one by one. You can simply add them to your favorites list, and that will now activate it on screen. I'm going to go ahead and grab that standard duplex as my chosen assembly, and let's get started. So now I'm just going to pull up the plan here, and everywhere you're seeing one of those blue circles, I'm simply left clicking on the plan to count it is what I'm doing. Just left clicking the mouse, and then down here in the left hand corner, it's showing me what my active part is that I've selected, and then it's keeping track of my count for me as I'm going through here and counting these off. So everything that is in that assembly is now being estimated. Right now behind the scenes, it's putting our material list together. It's getting all of the byproducts calculated. It's figuring out labor hours for us. Now, if I simply go on and I grab something else, that is now a part of the estimate. If we go back and look into the audit trail, there they are. Standard duplex, we just counted 26 of those on the plan. So again, once you put it on the plan, there's nothing else you have to do. It's all in the estimating side of the software. We've got our totals here. There's all of our items that were built into that assembly. You're simply done with the estimate at this point. I shouldn't say that. Step number 5, we're going to add some finishing touches, but you are pretty much done with the bulk of the estimate at this point in time. So that's how you count on the plan. We do have some automated features as well. We actually have an auto count built in. But I want to show you the linear takeoff next. I want to show you how to run your pipe and wire, cable, anything linear on the plan. Let's go over to our favorites list over here, and let's go back and grab that 3 number 12 inside a 3/4 inch EMT that we were looking at before. Now, before I start drawing anything horizontally on the plan, I can add vertical drops automatically onto these runs. I just have to come up here in the top ribbon under my drop section, and then I just need to tell it how much of a drop that I want to have on these runs. I'm going to go ahead and just put in a 10-foot drop on both ends here. So now what I would do is I would simply click my mouse anywhere on the plan I would want to start a run. I would click the mouse to turn the run, and then I would double left click my mouse to end my run, and now you can see it also added a 10-foot vertical drop on both ends. Our newest patent that we've developed is called auto home runs and routing. So I want to show you that next. Instead of me drawing every individual home run on the plan, I can set up a couple of conditions, and then McCormick can actually create all of my home runs for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an endpoint on my plan. Right here, I'm going to make that panel A my designated endpoint. And now I have a couple of different options. One of the options I can do is I can simply tell I can tell McCormick to go ahead and create the home runs for me, and McCormick will find the most efficient pathway to get that back to that endpoint. Every time I click my mouse, it's going to send an orthogonal home run directly back to that endpoint for me. Now I could take it a step further. If I did want these runs to follow a specific pathway, what I can do is I can actually draw a route on the plan first that I would want these runs to follow. So either McCormick can find the closest distance and create the home runs automatically for me, or I can tell it to follow a specific pathway back to that endpoint. Now I could have multiple endpoints, I could have multiple pathways. I'm just going to have one pathway to show you how it works, but I've created the pathway on the plan, and now I'm going to go up here in my routing area, and I'm going to tell it, instead of no path, I'm going to go ahead and choose that pathway that I just created. And now the same thing, anywhere I click my mouse on the plan, it's going to find the closest path to reach that route, and then it's going to go ahead and route it all the way back to that endpoint for me. Let me show you what we've done so far. I'm going to go ahead and turn on our live legend. When you are done with this, you will have a completed set of drawings. If you want to go ahead and save this as a PDF, you can send it out electronically to anybody that might need to take a look at this. I could actually print it out on paper if I wanted to have a hard copy of this when it's all said and done, but everything is for me to review right here. It's just showing me a breakdown by assembly, what my totals are so far. You can leave that on, and that will just continue to live update for you the more takeoff that we do. So again, everything that you're doing on screen, grab the assemblies off your favorites list. You can come through here and you can be able to take off this entire sheet in a matter of minutes. Again, everything that you're doing on screen is fully built into the estimating side of the software. Go back and look, and everything that we're doing is going right into that audit trail. Now, let's say that you were done with the takeoff and you're ready to wrap this job up. There's just a couple of finishing steps. The next step is called extension. We're going to go to step 4, extend. And now McCormick is going to break down all of that takeoff from this job, and it's going to provide us with a complete itemized material list. And everything is going to now have raw cost pricing and labor hours assigned to it. Up in the upper right hand corner, it's showing me what my totals are so far. It says we've got $20,000 in raw cost material. We've got 873 labor hours. Right now I'm on my price one and bid labor report. That by default is the best price and best labor on all of this material. However, we can go ahead and pull down that report list, and we can go ahead and change that right here. Depending on the job situation, we might need to adjust that pricing and labor that we're bidding this project with. We also can generate our itemized material list. If we just want to provide quantities, we can export this material list. We can export all of these reports into an Excel file, or perhaps you want to turn this into a PDF or a Word document. We can go ahead and generate that right here if we would like. But right now we have a complete breakdown of all of the takeoff that was done on this project. It's going to give you the itemized material list, your quantities of the material, and then it's going to give you an extended raw cost price on every single item and extended labor time on every single item. Now, if we wanted to take it a step further, we could actually separate all of the information out by our labels, and we can actually see a price breakout and labor hour breakout for every single part of the job if we wanted to utilize our label sets right here. So this is where you're going to use those labels for your bid management purposes. Right now, I'm just going to keep everything combined together, and I am going to send it to the final step in McCormick. Step number 5 is called bid summary. We're going to click on this send to summary button up there at the top. That will save this information from us. Save this information. We're going to close out this window, and then we're going to go up here and hit step number 5, bid summary. And now let's put the finishing touches on this bid. We've got the material dollars that we just sent over. This red box that you're seeing is actually indicating that those labor hours need our attention. So we're going to look at the labor hours, and then we have a few more cost categories that we also want you to run through and make sure you're not missing any other expenses for this project. Every cost that you see up here at the top has a button down here at the bottom of this bid summary that will tie to it. So if we go down there to click that labor button, it's going to show us over here in red that we've got 873 labor hours to assign. Now you could assign one rate on all of your hours, or you could build a crew of workers. We're actually going to provide a crew template here for you, and you'll be able to rename this for your company, and then you'll be able to rename your labor classes here. But what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and substitute your hourly rates right here, and then you're also going to have the ability to add on burden dollars for your workers as well. We do have a burden table in here, payroll expenses. You can actually calculate an exact burden amount for your workers. So let's go ahead and build a crew real quick. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a foreman. I'm going to push him over here underneath the hours. I'm going to grab a journey wireman, and I'm going to grab a couple of helpers on this project. So I'm going to keep it a 4-man crew, and now I just need to distribute the hours right here and make all of the hours add up to 100%. So depending on how you want to distribute those hours, I'm just going to do some easy math here and give everybody a fair share of the work time on this job and make it add up to 100%. So now, based off of the hourly rate and the additional burden rate for each employee, I now have exact labor cost for every individual worker. And if I go back to my top sheet, now I have exact labor dollars for everybody combined. We have $36,000 in labor cost. There's another button down here for supplier quotes. Any additional quotes that you might need to add to the bid, light fixtures, switch gear, I can go ahead and add additional material cost right there. I do have another button for subcontracting. If there's any work on this job that you'd want to sub out, we can go ahead and plug in subcontractor cost right here. Maybe you're going to sub out the fire alarm on this job, for example. We can throw that in there. The next button is for direct job expenses. You're always going to have those, so we don't want to miss out on any of that stuff. You know, maybe you got to put in a permit cost on this job. We can go ahead and load that in there. We also want to charge for some gas. We're going to be doing some driving to the job site. So miscellaneous things like that would go in that folder. Now there is another folder for equipment rental, scissor lifts, bucket trucks, anything that you might need to rent for your equipment. All that stuff can be added in here for those costs. We do also have a bond button in case you need to bond the project. We've got your bond table here. We can put an exact bond amount on this job. And then you have your tax. Anything that you want to put your tax rate on, we'll go ahead and add that tax rate right here in the last folder. And then we're almost done. We have raw cost figured out at this point. It says right now we've got $66,000 so far with raw cost and tax. And then the last thing you're going to want to do is add any overhead and profit to calculate a total return amount on this job. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I could come into each category and provide each markup percentage individually. I could also use this calculator section over here, and we can go ahead and blanket everything with the same amount of markup. Let's do that. Let's add 10% overhead to every cost, and then let's go ahead and add 15% profit on top of that. And now you can see everything has that amount of markup applied to it. Now I don't have to keep it that way. I can always come in here if I want, and I can individually mark up my costs. If I want to adjust that, simply go in here and update each markup percentage individually. But what you're going to end up with now is a total return dollar amount, and then that's going to lead you to your final sale price number. So right now we're sitting at a final sale price of $78,000. So at this point in time, you are pretty much done with the bid. You are at the end of the easy 5-step process. Now there was a lot of things I wasn't able to show you today. There's a bunch of planning tools built in here for you to work with. There's a bunch of reports that we can generate at this point in time. Again, if you would like a more comprehensive demonstration, please feel free to call our office and we can set up that appointment with you. At this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat here and just see if we've got any questions. So if you have any questions at this time, go ahead and type those into the chat here for us. And if there might be questions that you would like to ask, but maybe you don't want to put it into the chat, I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information up here for you. So you can go ahead and just give us a call over here directly. Here's our office number. Again, my name is JR. There's my email. Feel free to get in touch with me and I can get you all of the information that you're looking for. But again, give our office a call if you would like to set up a more comprehensive demonstration one-on-one with your company, or if you would simply like information on how to get started with McCormick, we'd love to talk to you. At this point, that concludes our webinar for today. I want to thank you again for your attendance, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks so much.